We've received quite a bit of interest in my free to be workshop, so to that effect, beneath this video is a link that will give you a description for the workshop, and we've also included a special discount. So if that's something you would be interested in, I would invite you to click that link, and I hope that you would find the course to be quite beneficial. Through my 40 plus years in the counseling office, one of the things that I realized was that with many individuals, I became a type of father confessor, if you will, where people would come into my office and they would share with me some of the ways that they realized they did not handle things well at all when that narcissist triggered them. And I know that there are so many times that you can look back in your own personal life thinking, oh, I know it happens. I know what kind of person I want to be. I know that I don't need to let that narcissistic individual set my pace, but there are certain things that that person can think, say, or do that just triggers me. And then it brings out the very worst in you. How many times does that happen? Let me give you a couple of examples of how this works. I recall one woman, 50-ish, who said that there would be times when her husband would scream across the house, "Get over here right now." And she would be so triggered, she didn't even know what it was that he was mad about, but he had such a mean and caustic and haughty kind of spirit that he would talk with her as if she was some sort of misguided 8-year-old child. Of course, you don't even talk to an 8-year-old that way, and that would trigger her. Or I recall another person talking with me about a coworker, and this person says, "Oh yeah, she was a wonderful charmer, but then I found out that she was backstabbing me to all the people that I wouldn't want her to do that with, and it just made my blood boil. I was so mad when I found out about that." Or another individual explained to me that whenever we get together with extended family, there's this one person that's the ultimate opinionated individual and condescending and stupid, but thinks he's the smartest person in the room. And anytime I say something that is different, then he comes after me and it triggers me. And then he has these derisive ways of laughing at me and mocking and scoffing. I'm sure you could have plenty of stories yourself that you could add to that. At the core of narcissism is the tendency to mistreat other individuals. We talk about narcissists being exploitive and manipulative. They have no ability to self-reflect, so they put all of their foils and problems onto you. They're guided by their false self, which means they don't have good insight. In the narcissist mind, they exist to set you straight, and it can create all sorts of anger and anxiety reactions in you. So your greatest challenge is to figure out how not to be triggered. Now, I think you probably, if you've watched some of the other videos, you know that the way that I try to get prepared so that this does not happen is to examine the mindset that you have. Let's keep in mind that whenever you're angered or you're triggered, you do have options. Some of them are lousy options. You can suppress your emotions. You can become openly aggressive in reverse. You can go into a passive aggressive mindset and just see if you can punish the person, the narcissist, in that way. Those are options. They're lousy options. And then you have a couple of good options. One option is you can have your assertiveness and you can stand up for who you know you are, and you need to do that enough to where you know that you're not just going to be anyone's pushover. But then the ultimate way to cope with that triggering narcissist is to appeal to what I refer to as your higher priorities. What is it that you stand for that's a bit further down the path to enlightenment than the narcissist? And I want us to see if you can zero in on some of the narcissist tendencies, and let's contrast with some of those with some of the higher priorities that you can nail down, and then let's figure out what that's going to mean as you continue forward, even in the midst of their triggering behaviors. As an example, we know that narcissists, by definition, want to have high levels of control. They want you to conform to them, and they'll say and do all sorts of things to make you fit inside your groove. My higher priority, and I hope yours, is not control, but freedom to choose. I'm going to choose for myself who I'm going to be. And when the narcissist comes along and says, well, I'll tell you what, that's my job, don't you do it. No, that doesn't trigger me because, you see, I'm very comfortable in appealing to my attitude, my mindset of freedom. Or another thing that we can say about narcissists is they have a goal of dominance and power, which is why they have such a strong inclination to keep you in the underling position. My higher priority, though, and I hope yours, is respect for each individual that's in front of me. I'm going to have meaningful influence if and only if I can actually be a genuinely decent and regarding individual toward other individuals. Narcissists don't get that, but that's my higher priority. Or part of narcissism is they will tell and they won't discuss. The higher priority that we can have as a better alternative there is I want to be a true listener. And then I want to coordinate based on what I have gathered from other individuals. It's called harmonizing. We don't have to be the same, but just kind of like an orchestra, each instrument can learn how to blend with one another. That's my higher priority. The narcissist doesn't understand that. That's something you can dedicate yourself to. Likewise, I mentioned just a moment ago, narcissists are users. They're exploiters. They approach people thinking, what can I make you do to satisfy me? My higher priority with respect to that one is I want to be an uplifting presence with other individuals. I want to seek mutual good. That's who I am. That's what I stand for. And it's so essential for you to have that definition of who you are. In addition, part of narcissism means that they go into pervasive criticism and invalidating and complaining and griping. That's an option for you, but the higher priority there is, well, actually, I'd like to be an encouraging presence. I want to be someone who finds out what's right, and then let's see if we can go into that space if that would be possible. In addition, we can say that narcissism consists of individuals who have to have a proper public image, even if it means they go into cover-up mode or phoniness. It's like image is everything. I'm hoping your higher priority instead of that would be authenticity. What you see is what you get. I want to be honest, and I'm willing to be vulnerable when the need is reasonable. That's the way I'm going to go. Narcissists, in their way of living, they'll turn discussions into competitions. They can be so opinionated that they have to prove that they're right and you're wrong. My higher priority there is I want to use discussions for developing camaraderie. I want to have honest bonding and connecting with other individuals. Again, narcissists can't think that way. Or another key ingredient of narcissism is they can be secretive and for manipulative purposes. Whereas I'm hoping with you, there's going to be the higher priority that says, I stand for clean living. I don't feel the need to keep secrets because, I am what I am, and I'm certainly okay with being open about who I am. No secrets necessary. And then in addition, we can say that narcissists have this chronic undertow of irritability and annoyance. And I hope that you can decide, I want to have a chronic undertow, if you will, of patience and steadiness in my mood. That's who I am. That's how I define myself. Now, you can see that narcissists can trigger you, but when you have a well-developed sense of what your higher priorities are going to be, then that sets you up for being able to unhook from all of the reactions that they're hoping they can gain from you. Now, there are certain things that this is going to require of you so that you can move forward with your higher priorities. First, we're just going to accept the truth about narcissism. It's ugly, it's selfish, it's a pathological way of life, it's chronically illogical, and yet there it is, and the narcissist is imprisoned by that. I hope you understand that, and you're not required to get behind their chains and bars and all and be in prison with them. No, thank you. A second thing we're going to hold on to is you can release the narcissist from the requirement of being civil or reasonable. I know that's counterintuitive because you want them. That's part of what gets you when you're being triggered. I've got to make that person understand. Well, no, you don't. It would be nice, but the bottom line is I'm going to release them and I'm going to say, you are what you are. I get it. And I'm not going to try to change truth that simply is not going to be adjusted anyway. That being said, a third thought that you're going to need to hold on to is let's drop your shock reaction every single time a narcissist is, narcissistic. I'm not surprised. In fact, it's almost surprising when they're not being that way. Drop the shock. And then a fourth thought is tend to the one person that you can manage well, and that's yourself. The narcissist gets to choose who he or she wants to be, but so do you. And you can decide that person can be angry and they can be ridiculing and they can have all these demands. Get yourself over here right now, like that guy would say to his wife. I don't like it, but my task is to manage me rather than to make them see the light. Ultimately, the higher priorities can cause you to say, sadly, I see the narcissist as a tormented soul who doesn't understand me, much less himself or herself. I get it. That person takes absolute delight when I respond poorly, and I'm not going to play into that. I know the manipulation game. I'm onto it. I'm not going to participate. In addition, I'm hoping you can decide repeatedly, I'm going to remind myself that my character is not the issue. They're trying to make it that, but in fact, it's classic projection. Their character is so poorly developed, but they want to make me think that, when in fact, no, they're looking at the wrong person. And then ultimately, we can see that the narcissist is stuck in a pre-adolescent view of the world. But I've moved on but beyond that. I'm an adult and I'm going to respond as an adult. My higher priorities consist of dignity, respect, and civility, starting toward myself and then extending toward others. The narcissist wants me to be the opposite of all of that, but as I say, I'm not playing along with that. Now, I hope this gives you a good challenge as you try to think about how you can respond without getting so triggered by that narcissist. Like I say, it's a mindset and you need to rehearse these kinds of things in advance. You can do it. I encourage you to hit that subscribe button if you've not already done so, and watch the videos on a cumulative basis so that you can have that strengthening from the inside out. If you have a need for therapy, and I know that many of you have taken me up on this possibility, we're sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com. It's an online therapy resource. Starting with the pandemic, that became very popular, and a lot of people have continued with that. It's accessible, it's affordable. There's a link below that will take you to their website. You can choose from therapists that are there. Please, if the need is there, seek the help that I know that would be good for you. Likewise, I have my therapeutic courses, and this is like signing up for an online video class. They're very extensive and very thorough. Each one has 25 or more videos, and each video has written documentation and questions that go along with it and guiding you in a certain direction. Ready, Set, Connect talks about having good connection skills. This Is Me discusses about how to have the healthy boundaries. Free to Be means finding yourself despite those controllers. Also, I've had my webinars that I presented that continue to be available on the website, as well as many articles, our podcasts, and then my books. So there are plenty of resources, and I thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. Narcissists can trigger you, and I know that you know when your vulnerable episodes can be. Your task is to have your mindset established in advance before they do it, because sometimes you don't know when it's going to show up. As you have these higher priorities and you're dedicated to them being central to what you are, I'm hoping it positions you to be the person of steadiness that the narcissist does not want you to be. But in doing so, it allows you to continue down your direction, your path toward peace.